Hello and welcome to this third video on Python fundamentals. I'm so glad that we are again meeting in this session. I hope you all are following the blog No Python Bites. Let's see what we are going to learn in this session. Working with variables. We are going to learn concept of variable, L value and R value, input and output functions, variable internals, assigning same or multiple values to multiple variables, dynamic typing and dynamic typing error. So let's begin. Concept of variables. What is a variable? A variable is a named label given to any memory location that refers to a particular value and whose values can be used and processed during program run. So for example, you can see that here marks is the variable whom I have assigned the value 100. Now Python variables are created by assigning values to them and of desired data type which you want. So for example, when I am giving marks equal to 100, that means I am giving numeric data type to the variable marks. And equal to is the assignment operator, which we will learn in the operator section. But for now, just remember that equal to is used to assign the values from the right hand side to the left hand side variable. Now see, the next example is name is equal to Agni. So Agni is in quotes, that means this is a string. So name is a variable which we are assigning a string Agni. So if we can see that how it is shown in memory, so you can imagine that marks which we have declared and defined as the value 100. So marks is a block which is having as its value inside that, and marks is a tag which we have given to 100. Now next point of time, if we write marks equal to 200, then what will happen? That means there is another block with the value 200, and this marks tag you are assigning to that variable. So here as you can see that this block is holding the value Agni as its value, and the name, the label, the tag you have given is NAME, name, whatever is the variable name that is written here inside this red colored label. And then item underscore price. So this is again a variable name. As you know that variable name is an identifier which legally where we can use this underscore. We cannot give a space or any other character. So item underscore price equal to 999.90. That means the value inside that particular memory location which I am saying as a block is holding 999.90, and the name of that block, that is the tag, the label which we have given to that block, is item underscore price. So Python is a type info language. That means you don't need to specify any particular data type. Whenever you are assigning any value to a variable, it automatically understands that okay, marks since you have assigned 100 to marks, so that means marks is holding the value 100. Marks is referring, the label is given to a memory location which is holding the value 100. And the next point of time, if you write marks equal to suppose 99.5, so now marks will be pointing to a location, the tag will be given, the label of marks will be given to a block 99.5. So at the next point of time, when you are giving 99.5, this means marks now is pointing to a location which is holding a floating point value. So Python is a type info language. It understands automatically that what kind of data type at this point of time it is pointing to or it is holding. So Python automatically gets variable data type depending upon the value assigned to the variable. Now let's see what are these memory locations. So we can imagine a tabletop with different boxes having some value stored in them. So the variables which you will create are the tags, like price tags, as you see on the items in a mall. You can imagine like that there is a tabletop and there are multiple items and tags are given, the price tags are given on the blocks. So which you will place on the top of the boxes. These tags, that means the variable name, you will attach to the blocks. Now these tags or variables will represent or point those boxes with the value assigned to the variables. So unlike other programming languages, variables are not storage containers in Python, right? So let's see for this example, A is equal to 15. That means wherever 15 is there in a memory location, the tag A, the variable A, is now pointing to this box which is holding the value 15. And B is equal to 40. So B is now pointing to 40. So when you will print A, you will get 15, and when you will print B, you will get 40. Quite obvious. Now at the next point of time, when you are writing A is equal to 200, that means now the tag you have changed to 200. Now A, you have taken A from the 15, the block which is holding 15, which was holding 15. Now you are placing that A tag on the block which is holding 200. That is the memory location which is holding the value 200. Again, when you are writing B is equal to 3, that means now the tag you have taken from 40 and now you have placed it on the block, the memory location which is holding the value 3. So you can imagine that there are infinite memory locations. Yes, because if we think about the fractional numbers, so there will be infinite numbers. So variables, they will be assigned to any value. Now see, assigning values to variables. Remember, a variable is not created until some value is assigned to it. Now for example, if you just type a variable name A where we have not assigned any value to that, so that will give you an error. Now when you are writing A is equal to 10 and then you are typing A, so you are getting the value A. So you have to assign some value to the variable so that that becomes a valid variable. Otherwise, if you have not assigned any value to that variable and directly you are using that variable on the prompt, so that will fetch you an error like name A is not defined. I will show you all practically. Now see this next one, that assigning same value to multiple variables. Suppose you are writing x equal to y equal to z equal to 10. So that means the value 10 at the right, from the right hand side you are assigning it to z and you are assigning it to y, and then again you are assigning it to x. So when you are printing x comma y comma z, you are getting 10 10 10 for all x, y and z's value. All of them, they are holding the same value. That means all the tags, all the labels x, y and z, they are pointing to the memory location which is holding the value 10. Now assigning different values to multiple variables. Now you can see this example like x comma y comma z equal to, I've written 33 comma 78 and 45. So here what happens is, from the right hand side the first value is assigned to the left hand side first variable. Again the second value after comma from the right hand side is assigned to the second variable which you have declared at the left hand side, that is 78 is assigned to y, and then whatever is there at the last 45, that is being assigned to the left hand side last variable. So you can define as many variables. I have just defined 3 variables. You can define any number of variables, but remember the first value of RHS right hand side is assigned to the first at the left hand side, the first variable at the left hand side. So in this way this happens. So that is why 33 is given to x, 78 to y and 45 to z. So when we are printing x, y and z, we are getting the numbers like this. assigning values to variables through an expression. Now see here, I have defined one variable a with the value 11 and b with the value 20.4. Sum is equal to a plus b. So I'm not defining sum as such with any value, but what I have done is at the right hand side of equal to this assignment operator, I have given an operation that the value which we will get after adding a and b, that value should be assigned to sum. So now if you print sum, you will get the summed up total value of a plus b, that is 11 plus 20.4, 31.4. The next is assigning none value or nothing to a variable. So see here, as I have given a variable named sales whom I am assigning value none, and when I am printing sales, it is just coming to the prompt without printing anything. So none is actually not printed when you are printing it directly like this. Now see, swapping variables or values. So x comma y is equal to 2 comma 5. So what is the value of y? Yes, the value of y is 5 and the value of x is 2. As I've said in this example, in the above example, that the first RHS value is assigned to the first LHS variable. So 2 is assigned to x and 5 is assigned to y. So when I am printing x and y, I am getting 2 and 5. Now if I write x comma y is equal to y comma x. Now what happens actually, whatever value is there at the right hand side, that is assigned to the left hand side variable. So y which is there at the right hand side, we will see it first. So the value of y which is 5 is assigned to x and the value of x will be assigned to y. So now if we print x comma y, so we will get 5 comma 2. That means the values are swapped. I hope you have understood this assigning values to variables. Let us see the practical on this part of assigning values to variables one by one. So let us take three variables. A is equal to p is equal to r is equal to 20. So now if we print the value of a, we will get 20, p is also 20 and r is also 20. Now suppose if I write like this, so let us give some different value to a, p and r. Let us give 30 minus 10, 5.6. So what will be the value of a? Now in this case, the value of a will be, that means the variable which is at the left hand side first, which is coming, will get the value at the right hand side which is given first after the equal to operator. So the value of a will be 30 and p will be minus 10 and r will be 5.6. So now if we print a, p and r, we'll get values like this. Now let us see how to swap two values. Let's take two values x comma y is equal to, let us take 4 comma 9. So the value of x is 4 and y is 9. Yes. So now if you print, let us print it in one single statement, x comma y, and you get the value x and y as 4 and 9. Now if I write x comma y is equal to y comma x, and that means the value of y will be given to x and the value of x will be given to y. So now if we print x comma y, we will get just this swapped value. Yes. Okay, now let's see the working of none. So let's take a variable marks whom we are assigning the value none, special literal none. See, the cursor has come to the prompt again. That means the cursor has been returned to the prompt again. So if we print marks, again we'll come back to the prompt itself. Now if you print marks, you will be able to see the value of marks which has been assigned as none. So when you pass it through a function, you will be able to see the value which has been assigned, even if it is the special literal none. Now let us see the next one. This one, if we assign values to variables through an expression. So let us take two variables. I is equal to 25 and j is equal to maybe 65. So now if I write sum is equal to I plus j, now if I print sum, I will get the value 25 plus 65 as 90. Now let's see some more on variables. L value and R value of a variable. L value is what? Expressions which can be given on the left hand side of an assignment. Whatever we can give on the left hand side of an assignment operator, this equal to is the assignment operator. Whatever valid expressions we can give, they are the L value, and R value is expressions which can come on the right hand side of an assignment operator. That is why R, right hand side, R value. So let's see what we can give at the right hand side and what we can give at the left hand side and what we cannot. In Python, assigning a value to a variable means you are giving a value to the variable's label. So that means when you are writing x equal to 1, 1 is assigned to x, y equal to 4, 4 is assigned to y. Now when you are writing x plus y equal to z, now this is an error, because you cannot assign, you cannot write an expression at the left hand side of equal to operator. Equal to is the assignment operator, and you cannot write any expression at the right hand side, at the left hand side of the operator. So now if you write z equal to x plus y, then this is valid. So the values of x and y will be added and you will be able to see the value of z if you print it. But you cannot give any expression like this, since plus operator you cannot give at the left hand side of equal to, so that is why it has given an error. In the same way, we cannot assign a variable's value to an expression like L equal to 8, B equal to 3, area is equal to length into breadth. So if you print area, you will get like this. So now if I want to again give the value of area to L into B, no, you cannot assign anything to operator. So at the left hand side you cannot have an expression like this, because equal to's at the left hand side you have to give variable only. Let me show you practically. So let A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20, and if I write A plus B is equal to C, it will say syntax error, cannot assign to operator. But if I write C is equal to A plus B, yes, this is valid, and if you want to print C, you can see the value of C. Now let's see variable internals. Variable internals, it has got, any variable has three main internals. One is the value which is assigned to it, another is the data type to which it is attached to, the type of the data which the variable is holding, and ID is the memory location, the address of that particular variable. If we think the variable as an object, that is, if we think it as a block which is an object, which I showed you earlier in the pictures in the previous slides, we have seen that ID of an object is what? Is generally the memory location of the object. Although ID is implementation dependent, but in most implementations it returns the memory location of the object. So ID is a built-in function. And how we can see the data type of any variable? We will see two functions here. One is the type function and another is the ID function. Type function will return you that of what data type the variable is. So since marks equal to 100, you have given an integer value to marks. So that is why when you are printing type marks, it is giving you integer value, integer data type as its class. And when you are writing ID and this ID function, so you are getting the memory location of the block which is holding the value 100, where marks is pointing to. So marks is holding 100 and its data type is integer and its ID is this. From this example you can understand. So even I can show you that. Let's see first this and then you will be able to understand more. A is equal to 10. So the value of A is 10. Type A, it will give you integer. ID A, it will fetch you the memory location of that particular block. So that means A is the label which is pointing to, referring to the block which is holding the value 10, whose data type is int. As a type A we have got class int, and the ID, that is the memory location, you have got this. Now in the next line when you are writing B is equal to 10 and you are printing B, and when you are asking type B, you are getting class int. Of course B is also pointing to 10, that means B label is also there on the block 10. Now if I print ID B, then you will get the same ID as that of A, because both are referring to the same block which is containing the value 10. Now C is equal to 20, type C integer, but ID C is different because 20 is there inside another block whose ID is different, right? So here what we can see is that A, B, C are the named labels or the variables or the object names A, B and C, the above example. When we are using this type function, we are getting the classes, that is the data type which that variable is holding, the value, that is the kind of data which the variable is holding. So we have got class int, class int, class int for all three A, B and C variables, and ID is fetching you the memory location of the objects, that is A, B and C. The variables are treated as objects here. Now if we write A is equal to B, that means whether the value of A is equal to B or not. Double equal to is used for checking whether the left hand side value is equal to the right hand side value or not, and it returns true or false. We will see this in when we will learn operators. So for now just remember that double equal to is used for checking whether LHS is equal to RHS or not, and it returns a boolean value either true or false. So when we are writing A is equal to B, we are getting true because both are pointing to the same value 10. A equal to C, no. 10 is not equal to 20, so it is false. Type A is equal to type P, yes, true, both are from class int. Type A is also equal to type C, both are of integer type, so true. But when we are checking for ID, ID A is equal to ID B, it is true, but ID of A is not equal to ID of C, it is false. What will be the value if I check ID A is equal to ID B is equal to ID C? What will be the value if I check ID B is equal to ID C? It will be false because B has a different memory location, different ID, and C is having also a different ID. Let me show you some example of this. A, B and P, three variables I have declared with the value A as 10, P also 10 but B as 30. So if I check what is the value of A, now let us print all the values together. A, B, P, 10, 30, 10. Now let us see the type of A, type of B, that will be also int, and type of P also int. Now if I want to print ID of A, what will be the ID of B? Something different. See here, there is a difference in the ID of A and B, but what will be the ID of P? Can anyone say? If I am printing the ID of P, what will be its value? Yes, because P is also pointing to the value 10, so the ID of P will be same as that of A. If you can see, the ID of A is same as that of ID of P. So now if you check A is equal to B, the value, both of them are holding different value, 10 and 30. A equal to P, both of them are holding same value, 10 and 10. If I want to check ID of A is equal to ID of P, what will be the value? Yes, true, because both of them are having the same memory location, but ID of A equal to, if I write ID of P, then you will get a false value because both of them are having a different memory location. But type, of course, type, all of them are having a same value, so even if you check it with A or B, you will get the same value, true, because all of them are of integer type. Now let's see what do we have next, that is input through input function and output through print statement. This you've already learned how to print any expression or variable using the print command. But what when we want some kind of input from the user, instead of assigning any value, if you want the user to enter any number or any name or any marks or anything of that sort, any kind of input, then you will have to use the input function, and to see the output you need the print statement. So let us see the syntax of input function and print. So in the interactive mode, name is equal to input. Now this is a function, and inside this function I've written inside double quote a string. I've written enter your name. So this will be printed so that it looks good, that what you are asking, and whatever name you will give, that name will be stored in which variable? In the variable name over here. Whatever variable name you write in the left hand side of the equal to operator, that will hold that value. So if you print name, so you will get the name, and when you print name like this, again you will get the value. So the cursor prompts here for the user that you should give any input. So let's see this part, and you can see here, even if you do it using script mode, then also it waits for the input from the user. So I will show you in both the ways, and a few more taking inputs. Let's see how to do that. Enter the item name input. So item, enter the item name. Suppose we have written chocolate as the input you have given. So next, when you print item, you will get chocolate. When you are checking its data type, you will get string, and again you are taking some input. Price is 100, its class is string. Now see, since you have taken a numeric value, the price should be number, not string. So one thing which is very important is input function takes string value by default. So what if you want to convert it to integer or a float value. So when you are taking input, enter the price, you give the function int, which you have already learned, to convert it to an integer value. So enter the price, now it will take 100, and when you type its data type, you will get int. Now let us see the example of taking input. Let us take input name. Using this input function, only if you write input, the prompt will be shown here. See, the cursor is blinking here. That means it is asking for the input from you. So you give any name. I have given my name. So now if I print name, I will get my name. But when the cursor is blinking, the user will not understand what the input is asking. So it's better if you use some kind of string inside the input function, so that it prompts that what actually you are asking from the user. Now this looks good. This looks good. So now it's very much clear that what the input function is prompting you. Now let us take any value. Suppose marks I want to take, and I'm taking like this input, enter marks. Sorry. Yes. So it is prompting me to give marks. I've given 100. So when I'm printing marks, it is giving me value in string itself. See, it is given inside quotes. But marks, and if I want to see whether it's of which type, then I can just see the data type of marks, which is string type. But I don't want this. I want marks to be entered in integer value. So marks equal to int input, and now you can prompt the user. You may not write anything also, that also will not be an error, but close the input function, close the int function, both we have to close. So now if I print this, you're getting marks. So let's see what kind of data type. Yes, it is not inside quotes, see, which was there earlier. So it is of integer now. So to check what kind of data type marks is pointing to, it is of class integer type. So in this way you can take any value. Suppose let us take a value, floating point value. So what we will have to write is input. You may write anything, or you may prompt the user that what you want to take. You may not. So let's take a floating point number. So if you print, you are getting the value A. So here you can write enter a value, enter a number, anything. Anyhow, so you are getting the value of A as 4.5, which is a floating point number. And if you want to check what is the data type of A, you can check that. Yes, the class is float. That means it is of floating point data type. Now let's see some more input function. Input, I've written Chota Bheem. Name is equal to input when I'm writing Chota Bheem. So name, you are getting a variable also whom you are assigning the value which you are taking as input. Only input will also fetch some value, and which will give you the output there and then only. But since you are not storing it to any variable, it will be a problem for you to use this particular value later on. Now since we have taken a variable name, so the variable will hold the value Chota Bheem which you have entered as the input value. Here name is equal to input, enter a cartoon character. Now this is looking good, right? Since you are prompting the user that what kind of value the user is the program is asking. So enter a cartoon character, this will come in front of you, this will prompt you to enter anything. So I've written Chota Bheem, and when I'm printing name, again I'm getting a string value Chota Bheem. So it's better always to prompt the user that what kind of input you want. Now sep and end, these two parameters of print functions are a special kind of parameters. Sep is used for separator parameter and end is used to denote the end character, and by default end is a new line /n, but here you can end a string with any kind of character like either full stop or an exclamatory mark or anything, and if you want to separate the entire string with some value in between, that also you can do. So like see this example, Python language is easy. So I'm printing Python comma language comma is comma easy, this is the these are the strings, comma, and then sep equal to hyphen. That means I want these strings to be separated using a hyphen in between and ending the string with a full stop. So see the output, Python hyphen language hyphen is hyphen easy. So this is my output. So let me show you one example using sep and end. So let's write now. See, I have written print on the prompt and I've written 4 strings, I love my country, by comma separating them, comma, and then sep, the special parameter sep I am using with print function, equal to star asterisk. That means between these all the strings there will be a star mark between all the strings, and at the end 3 exclamatory mark I want. So I've given end is equal to, inside that single quote I've given 3 exclamatory marks. So let's see what will be the output. Yes, the output is I love my country, and in between asterisk has come, that is the separator, and at the last this end has come. So this is how the print function is working along with the sep and end parameters. Now lastly, let's see dynamic typing. Dynamic typing is what? Now as you know that in Python a variable can take any kind of value, and the value which it takes, the data type which it handles with, automatically that data type will be allotted to that particular variable. Now see, here I am writing a is equal to 100 at one point of time. When I am printing a, I am getting 100, and the next point of time a is equal to sky. I am giving a string variable, string value to this variable a. So when I am typing a, I am getting a string sky. Now 100, now a is pointing to a location which is holding a memory block which is holding the value sky. Initially it was pointing to a location which was holding the value 100. So variable a changes its data type from int to string dynamically during runtime. That is, when we are running the code, it is dynamically doing that. During the runtime, anything when it happens, it is known as dynamic. Now what kind of error we might get in case of dynamic typing, and this is one of the disadvantages which we have seen in Python, that a is equal to 100 when I have written print a minus 2 98. Okay, now a is equal to sky. The next point of time when you are defining a with another string variable, string value, and when you are printing a minus 2 now, so it is giving you an error, because then it is saying that unsupported operand type. So this is dynamic typing error. Dynamically the variable is taking a different value, but you are not able to operate on it. At one point of time you are able to operate, in the next point of time you are not able to operate, because it has changed, the value has changed, and the main thing is the data type has changed. So that is why dynamic typing, that is the type is dynamically changing, the data type is dynamically changing. Let me show you this. As you can see, I have taken a variable marks whom I have assigned a value 80. So when I am typing its data type using the type function, it's giving int. So the next point of time, if I change the value to a string, like let us take marks equal to ABC. Now this is a string. So now if I try to divide this string by 2, it will give you an error. So in this way, you remember that if we are dynamically during runtime changing the value of any variable, and if it is not supported when you are working with it and you are trying to apply any kind of operator which is not allowed in that kind of data type, then that will fetch you an error. So I try to divide marks by 2, marks divided by 2. The slash is for division, the operator for division which we use. So it is giving you an error. So hence we have learned all about variables, variable internals and L value and R value, and the different types of input and print functions and dynamic typing, and how we can assign values to variable, we can swap values of two variables, and how we can take different values to different variables at the same time. Thank you so much for your patience here.